You're terrified of being alone, and that fear is controlling your entire life. You stay in relationships that drain you because being with the wrong person feels safer than being with yourself. You tolerate disrespect because losing them feels worse than losing your dignity. You shrink yourself to fit into groups that don't value you because belonging somewhere feels better than belonging nowhere. And you tell yourself, this is connection, this is community, this is love. But it's not. It's dependency. And dependency masquerading as connection is a prison you've locked yourself inside. Now here's the part that's going to sting. The people you're so afraid of losing. Most of them wouldn't show up for you in a real crisis. The groups you're bending yourself to fit into, they'd replace you in a week if you left. The approval you're sacrificing yourself for, it's conditional, temporary, fragile, and you're building your entire sense of worth on something that could vanish tomorrow. Think about that. You're giving away your soul, piece by piece, to keep people around who don't even see you, who don't value the real you, who only stay because you perform for them. And the moment you stop performing, they're gone anyway. So what are you actually protecting? What are you actually keeping? Nothing real, nothing lasting, just the illusion of connection, just the temporary comfort of not being physically alone, while being completely alone on the inside. 2,000 years ago, the Stoics understood something modern people have completely forgotten. Real independence is not about being isolated. It's about being so complete within yourself that other people become an addition to your life, not the foundation of it. It's about building an inner fortress so strong that losing everyone wouldn't destroy you, because you'd still have the most important person, yourself. Marcus Aurelius ruled surrounded by thousands of people, and he wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He had armies, advisors, an empire, and he still knew that the most important relationship was the one with himself. Seneca faced exile, stripped of his home, his status, his community, alone. And instead of collapsing, he thrived, because his strength wasn't in his connections, it was in his principles. Epictetus was enslaved, owned, could be sold or killed at any moment, and he still found complete freedom internally, because no one could take his mind from him. Today, you're going to learn the 7 Stoic rules for complete independence, and I'm warning you now, this is going to challenge everything you've been taught about relationships, belonging, and connection, because these rules will teach you how to lose everyone and keep your soul, how to stand alone without being lonely, how to build independence so complete that people become a gift, not a need. Before we begin, if you're ready to stop needing people and start choosing them, do this right now, like this video. Comment as we go through, especially when something makes you uncomfortable, because discomfort means you're close to a truth you've been avoiding. And share this with someone who's still sacrificing themselves to keep people around. This message could set them free. Let's build your independence. First rule: the people you can't live without become the people who control you. Let me ask you something. Is there someone in your life you believe you can't live without? A partner, a friend, a parent, someone whose presence feels essential to your survival, someone whose absence would destroy you. If your answer is yes, you've just identified your biggest weakness, because the moment you believe you can't survive without someone, you've handed them all your power. They control you now, not intentionally, not maliciously, but they control you because you need them, and need is leverage. Epictetus taught freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You can't control whether people stay. You can't control whether they leave. You can't control whether they die. So the moment your peace depends on their presence, you've tied your freedom to something you can't control. That's not love, that's slavery. Now, I'm not saying don't love people. I'm not saying don't value relationships. I'm saying don't need them for your survival. Love them, choose them, appreciate them, but build yourself so strongly that if they leave, you don't collapse. You grieve, you adjust, you continue, because you're complete with or without them. Marcus Aurelius lost people constantly, children, friends, allies, and each time he felt the pain, but he didn't break because his foundation wasn't in them. It was in himself, in his principles, in his duty. They were additions to his life, not the structure holding it together. Here's the brutal question. If the person you think you can't live without walked away tomorrow, would you survive? Not just exist. Survive with dignity, with purpose, with your soul intact. If the answer is no, you're not in a relationship, you're in a dependency, and dependencies are fragile. The practice. Identify one person you believe you can't live without. Then mentally rehearse losing them, not because you want to, because you need to know you could handle it. Imagine them gone. Then ask, who would I be without them? What would I do? How would I rebuild? And build that version of yourself now, while they're still here, because the people you can't live without become the people who control you, and control is the opposite of freedom. Love them, don't need them. There's a difference. Drop this in the comments. I choose people, I don't need them. Second rule, solitude is not loneliness, it's where you meet yourself. You avoid being alone like it's a disease. Every quiet moment you fill with noise, podcasts, music, scrolling, calls, anything to avoid sitting with yourself. Because sitting with yourself feels unbearable, uncomfortable, wrong. But here's what that avoidance reveals. You don't like your own company. You've built a life so dependent on external stimulation that being alone with your thoughts feels like torture. And that's not connection, that's avoidance. You're running from yourself. The Stoics practiced deliberate solitude, not isolation, not rejection of people. Solitude, time alone to think, to reflect, to process, to reconnect with themselves, because they understood something you've forgotten. You can't have genuine connection with others if you don't have connection with yourself first. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." You're not actually lonely when you're alone. You're just confronting all the thoughts you've been avoiding, all the feelings you've been numbing, all the truths you've been running from, and confrontation is uncomfortable, so you call it loneliness and run back to noise. But solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is painful isolation. Solitude is chosen retreat. One drains you, the other restores you. And until you learn the difference, you'll keep using people as distractions from yourself. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by thousands, still carved out time for solitude, to write, to think, to be with himself. Not because he hated people, because he needed to maintain the relationship with the one person he'd spend his entire life with, himself. Now think about your life. When was the last time you spent an hour alone with no distractions? No phone, no screens, no noise, just you and your thoughts. If you can't remember, that's a problem. Because you're outsourcing your peace to external sources, and external sources are unreliable. The practice, schedule 1 hour of solitude this week. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just sit with yourself, your thoughts, your feelings. At first, it will feel unbearable. Your mind will scream for escape. Sit anyway. Because on the other side of that discomfort is something powerful. Yourself, unfiltered, real. And when you meet that person, when you learn to enjoy that company, you'll never fear being alone again. Solitude is not loneliness. It's where you meet yourself. And meeting yourself is the beginning of independence. Third rule, your principles are permanent. People are temporary. every relationship you have will end, either through distance, disagreement, death, or change. That's not pessimism, that's reality. People leave, people change, people die. And if your entire sense of self is built on relationships, you'll collapse every time one ends. But principles are permanent. They don't leave. They don't betray you. They don't die. They're yours, always. And when you build your life on principles instead of people, you become unshakable. Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. People are not in your power. Whether they stay or go is their choice. But your principles entirely yours. Your integrity, your honesty, your courage, your discipline. No one can take those from you unless you give them away. Marcus Aurelius governed by principles, justice, wisdom, courage, temperance. When people disappointed him, when allies betrayed him, when relationships ended, he didn't crumble. Because his foundation wasn't people. It was principles, and principles don't abandon you. Now think about how you've built your life. Is it centered on people, on their approval, on their presence? Or is it centered on values, on what you stand for, on who you are regardless of who's around? Because the first foundation is fragile, the second is unbreakable. Here's what happens when you live by principles. People come and go, and it hurts when they go. But you don't collapse, because they were additions to a life already complete. They weren't the life itself. Seneca wrote to his friend after losing someone close, "If you wish to be loved, love. Not cling to people so they can't leave. Just love, openly, honestly, without attachment to outcome. Because when you love from principle, not from need, loss is painful but not catastrophic." The practice. Write down your 5 core principles, the values you will not compromise regardless of who's in your life. Honesty, growth, courage, justice, whatever yours are. Then make decisions based on those principles, not based on keeping people around. When you lose people because you honored your principles, that's not loss. That's clarity. The wrong people exit, the right people stay. Either way, you kept your soul. Your principles are permanent. People are temporary. Build on what lasts. 4th rule, approval is a drug. Self-respect is a foundation. You're addicted to approval, and like any addiction, it's destroying you while convincing you it's helping. Every choice you make is filtered through one question: will they approve? Every opinion you share is calculated for their response. Every path you take is evaluated by how it looks to them. And you think this is being considerate, being smart, being strategic, but it's not. It's addiction, and approval is the drug. Here's how the addiction works. You get their approval, you feel relief, validation, peace for a moment. Then it wears off, and you need another hit, another achievement, another performance, another approval. The cycle repeats, and you're never satisfied because the source is external. And external sources are always temporary. Marcus Aurelius had the approval of millions, emperor of Rome, most powerful man alive, and he wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Even with all that approval, he knew it was meaningless compared to self-respect. Self-respect is different. It's earned internally, through integrity, through keeping your word to yourself, through living by your values even when no one's watching. And once you earn it, no one can take it away. It's not conditional, it's not temporary, it's yours. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from disregarding what you can't control. Their approval, you can't control it. You can influence it by performing, but you can't control it. So tying your worth to it is tying your freedom to something you'll never truly have. Now here's the shift. Stop chasing approval. Start building self-respect. Every time you honor your principles instead of seeking approval, you earn self-respect. Every time you tell the truth instead of what they want to hear, you build self-respect. Every time you choose integrity over image, you strengthen your foundation. The practice. This week, make one decision purely from self-respect, not approval. Say no to something you'd usually say yes to for approval. Share an opinion you'd usually hide. Choose your authentic path even if it looks wrong to them. And notice, the approval you lose is replaced by something stronger: self-respect. Approval is a drug. Self-respect is a foundation. Drugs are temporary. Foundations last. Fifth rule: complete independence means you can walk away from anything. Real independence is not about never having connections. It's about never being trapped by them. It's about building yourself so completely that you could walk away from any situation, any relationship, any circumstance that violates your principles or peace, not because you want to, because you can. And the moment you can walk away is the moment you're finally free to stay for the right reasons. Think about this. How many situations are you in right now because you feel trapped? A relationship you can't leave because you're financially dependent. A job you hate because you have no other options. A friendship you tolerate because you're afraid of being alone. That's not independence. That's survival mode. Seneca practiced voluntary poverty periodically. He'd sleep on the floor, eat simple food, wear rough clothes, not because he couldn't afford luxury, because he wanted to prove to himself that he could survive without it, that he wasn't trapped by comfort, that he could walk away if needed. That's power. That's independence. Not being trapped by anything or anyone. Not because you don't value them, because your value doesn't depend on them. Marcus Aurelius could have clung to power, to his position, to the empire. But he wrote, "Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back." He knew it could all be taken tomorrow, so he didn't cling. He served, fully, powerfully, but without attachment. Because attachment is suffering. Here's the brutal question. What are you staying in that you should walk away from? What relationship, job, situation, pattern is violating your principles or draining your peace? And what's stopping you from leaving? Usually, the answer is fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over. Fear of the unknown. But here's the truth. The cage you're afraid to leave is smaller than the life waiting outside it. And every day you stay in what's wrong is a day you're not available for what's right. The practice. Identify one thing you're staying in because you feel trapped. Then build the skills, resources, or support to make walking away possible. Not to necessarily walk away, but to make it an option. Because the moment walking away becomes possible, staying becomes a choice. And choice is freedom. Complete independence means you can walk away from anything. And when you can walk away, you're finally free to stay for the right reasons. Sixth rule. You came into this world alone. You leave alone. Everything between is borrowed time. This is the hardest truth, and it's the one that sets you free if you can accept it. You were born alone. You will die alone. Everything in between, every relationship, every connection, every moment with others, it's all borrowed time. Temporary, finite, and trying to make the temporary permanent is what creates suffering. Marcus Aurelius meditated on death constantly, not because he was morbid, because memento mori, remember you will die, was how he stayed present, how he appreciated what he had while he had it, how he avoided clinging to what was always temporary. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He knew that today could be his last, that the people around him could be gone tomorrow, so he loved them fully while they were here. But he didn't need them permanently, because nothing is permanent. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well. People will leave. Relationships will end. Everyone you love will eventually die or drift away. That's reality. And fighting reality is suffering. But here's what acceptance creates. Freedom. When you accept that everything is temporary, you stop clinging, you appreciate deeply, you love fully, but you don't attach in desperately, because you know this is borrowed time, and borrowed time is meant to be treasured, not trapped. Now, this doesn't mean become cold. It doesn't mean stop loving. It means love without needing permanence. Connect without needing forever. Appreciate without demanding it lasts. Because the moment you demand permanence from the temporary, you suffer. The practice. Look at someone you love, then remind yourself, this is temporary. One day, one of us will be gone. So today, I appreciate them fully. I love them deeply, but I don't need them permanently. And notice how that shift changes the relationship. Less desperate, more grateful, less needy, more present. You came into this world alone. You leave alone. Everything between is borrowed time, so treasure it. Don't cling to it. Seventh rule, the inner citadel is built alone. And once built, it's unbreakable. The Stoics had a concept, the inner citadel, a fortress inside your mind that no external event can breach. No loss, no rejection, no betrayal, no isolation. It's built through discipline, principle, and self-knowledge. And once it's built, you're free. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good, and it is always ready to bubble up if you just dig." The citadel is not out there. It's in here, inside you, and it's built through daily practice, through reflection, through aligning with your principles, through strengthening yourself when no one's watching. This citadel is why Epictetus could be enslaved and still be free, why Seneca could be exiled and still thrive, why Marcus could lose everything and still lead. Because their strength wasn't in their circumstances, it was in their citadel, and citadels don't crumble when people leave. Now here's the truth. You can't build the citadel through relationships. You can't build it through approval. You can't build it through external validation. It's built alone, through solitude, through self-discipline, through daily choices that honor yourself even when no one sees. Every morning you wake up and do what you said you'd do. You build the citadel. Every time you honor your principles despite temptation, you build the citadel. Every time you sit with yourself in solitude and don't run, you build the citadel. And once it's built, you're unbreakable. People can leave, situations can change, everything external can fall apart. But the citadel stands because it's yours, and it's built on something nothing external can touch. The practice. Every night, ask yourself 3 questions. Did I act with integrity today? Did I honor my principles? Did I strengthen my citadel? Write the answers, not for anyone else, for you, because the citadel is built through daily accountability to yourself. The inner citadel is built alone, and once built, it's unbreakable. Build yours, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. Here's what happens when you live by these 7 rules. You stop needing people and start choosing them. You embrace solitude as strength, not punishment. You build on principles that never leave instead of people who always do. You replace approval addiction with self-respect. You create the option to walk away from anything, which makes staying a choice. You accept that everything is temporary and treasure it without clinging. And you build an inner citadel so strong that losing everyone wouldn't destroy you. This is complete independence, not isolation, not rejection of connection. Independence, the kind where people are gifts, not needs, where relationships enhance your life but don't define it, where you can love fully without needing permanently. Marcus Aurelius stood alone and ruled an empire. Seneca stood alone and changed philosophy. Epictetus stood alone and found freedom in slavery. They didn't need people to be complete, so they could love people completely. That's the paradox. The more independent you become, the deeper your connections grow, because you're no longer clinging, you're choosing. Lose everyone if you must, but keep your soul, because your soul is the only thing that's truly yours, and it's the only thing worth keeping. Drop in the comments, "I am complete alone." People are chosen, not needed. If this freed something in you, like this video, share it with someone who's still sacrificing their soul to keep people around. Subscribe to build your inner citadel with us. New Stoic truth every week. Make it count.